Well, hello everybody. How are we doing? Hope you are all well. Welcome to the Monday show. Welcome to the Boardroom Broadcast, everybody. Hope you're all doing fantastic. Let me just sort my mic out. So I was having a little bit of technical difficulties earlier, so do let me know if you cannot hear me. You should be able to hear me. Should be able to hear me okay now. Perfect. Right, so we'll wait for a couple of you to come in. I know it's Bank Holiday Monday, guys, and I know it is early on a Bank Holiday Monday as well, so I do completely understand. But nonetheless, that is no excuse to let our goals slip away through our fingers. So let's, like I said, let's give ourselves a little bit of time. 5 minutes have been already. Should have a quick sip of water, let you guys start coming in, and then we'll make a start. Yo, there we go. We started getting our first boys in. What is good? Sigma FX sound. Unbiased Trader, good morning. Good morning, Unbiased Trader. How you doing, bro? I hope you had a fantastic weekend as well, my friend. And Sigma FX, good morning all. Good morning, Sigma FX. How you doing, my man? What is good? So, guys, we have got a new start to the month. And I always like to start a new month almost with just a complete, fresh, positive mindset. No dwelling on what happened the week and the month prior. Now, I've already done my sort of monthly review of not only my trading performance, as you guys know, I am a trader, but not only my trading performance, but also just my overall performance on the daily, how I feel, how I act, so stuff like that, So I do try and keep tabs on my emotional performance and what's happening in my life, and how I react to it, and if how I react is appropriate. Now, I feel like I've been pretty good. I feel like I've been pretty efficient with things. I feel like I've handled things pretty well as a man. So I've been sort of weighing up, pros and cons of how I've been acting, conducting myself, and projecting that into society. Now, I think that over April, I have had that sort of, I've been on the right track. However, there has been moments, of course, where maybe I've slipped slightly, or maybe I've not quite been the best version of myself. Now, however, that's all good because, like I said, I've reflected it, and it's in the past. It's in the past, and what I want to be doing today is talking about holding on to grudges and holding on to things that perhaps that you shouldn't. So that's what I'm going to be mostly talking about today. It's a bank holiday, so we're not going to make it too heavy. I don't want to make it too heavy because if we start talking about some heavy topics on a bank holiday Monday, it's going to depress us. And guys, like I said, it's a new month, it's a new week, it's a new opportunity to be a better version of ourselves exponentially. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, is just staying positive and not holding on, and just allowing things to take its natural course. So like I said, we're going to wait for a few more people to come in. We've got 5 viewers now. Good morning, each and every single one of you. How you doing, guys? Azrael Trade saying, morning, mate. What is good, Azrael, brother? How you doing, my man? Good to see you all in. Like I said, I'm trying to keep myself nice and hydrated. I didn't drink enough yesterday. I went to add the evening with a bit of a headache, so I'm going to try and keep myself as hydrated as possible. I hate plastic bottles. They're just, A, I don't like the microplastics, and B, they're too crunchy and they make too much noise. They're a pain in the ass. I've run out of my Voss bottle. It's a glass bottle. I absolutely love it. Like I said, so anyway, guys, big welcome to you all. Do please make sure you smash that like button as well. We are still very new here. We're trying to grow to a bigger audience, so we can try and change lives of people around us. This is a fantastic place to be, is the Apex Brotherhood, and the Boardroom Broadcast, which I do every Monday at 7 a.m. I even skip the gym in the mornings just for you guys. So I hope that you do enjoy it. I hope you do appreciate me coming on and just chatting with you guys, and keeping positive energy, keeping things all light-hearted and motivational, ready to go into the week. So yeah, like I said, I skip a few things in the morning. So not only that, guys, look, I was tired as well. Bank holiday Monday, everyone's out enjoying it. Everyone's out drinking, or I don't know, barbecuing, or enjoying time with family. Yes, I did all those things, but I made sure that I was okay to be up at 7 o'clock in the morning, or earlier than 7 in the morning on a bank holiday Monday, to come chat to you guys. So, it is super important to me that I stay consistent, not only for you guys, but for myself as well. And I feel like showing up to the Boardroom Broadcast, it's an excuse to get out of bed, and it's an excuse to hold yourself accountable, and an excuse to say not only to yourself, but to everyone else who joins into the Boardroom Broadcast every morning, that you are here, you are up, and you are awake early on the first trading day, should we call it, the first business day of the week. So yeah, make sure that you're getting into the Boardroom Broadcast. Make sure you're liking the video, but make sure you comment as well. Make sure you're engaging with chat and showing everyone that you are up and that you are here to start your week off early, on the right foot as well. Because there's nothing worse than being on a Monday morning and having that "I'll start Monday" attitude. Like, me and my brother hate that. It's like, "Oh, I'll start it Monday." Monday never comes, but however, when Monday does come, there's nothing worse than having that "I'll start Monday" attitude and still getting up late, feeling lazy, being lethargic, and just having the same crappy attitude that you had the week before. So make sure, if you are going to have a "I'll start Monday" attitude, make sure you actually start on Monday and you get yourself over into the Boardroom Broadcast here live, where you can, like I said, we hold you accountable, and you can hold yourself accountable as well, where we'll like I said, just chat positive energy and get ourselves ready for the week. Even if you're just sitting there listening in bed and you're thinking to yourself, "I really don't want to get out of bed today," but you're showing up, you're like, I'm going to keep myself awake during Will's Boardroom Broadcast for half hour, 40 minutes on a Monday, and maybe it's just enough to wake you up. Who knows? Hopefully I don't put you to sleep. Azrael saying, "Will, I have a question. Do you have any other business?" Yes, I do, my friend. I have a couple. I do like to keep my hands in different pies. I like to diversify my income. I don't believe in having one source of income. I think one source of income is dangerous, because if you lost one source of income, you're broke. You're in trouble. If you have two sources of income, then you lose one, you're not in trouble because you got another. If you have three, that's when you start building that sort of wealth mindset. That's when you start building your portfolio, because you can have one business as savings, one business as living, and then another business as investing. And then once you start building from 3+, that's when game starts changing for you. The game starts changing for you. So I'm involved in 3 businesses, I believe, with a 4th coming. I believe that's correct. So yeah, no, I am involved in other businesses, yeah. I'm not going to divulge on what they are just yet, because they're a lot of startups, and a lot of them aren't quite ready to be released to the public. They're sort of building in the shadows, should we call it? But yes, Azrael, great trade, my man. I do indeed. I feel like have I got to turn this music down? Let me know. This feels... I'm going to put it on 3. No, I'm going to put it on 2. That's better. I'm going to keep it on 2. I felt like I was just shouting there. I felt like I was competing with the music. But like I said, guys, today we're going to be chatting about, forgetting, and, forgive and forget, should we call it. I don't believe in forgetting things when it comes to when people hurt you, when it comes to people doing you dirty. And I think it's a very immature way of looking at life. I'm only 24, I'm 25 this year. And I got to start growing up, I got to start realizing, thinking to myself that, look, if I want to be a man, I want to conduct myself like a man should and as a gentleman should. And I want to, treat the people around me and hold that, positive aura where people want to be around me and people respect me and listen to me and understand that, if I start speaking, they want to be quiet and sort of absorb what I'm saying. Then I understand that I've potentially got to kill this this immature side of myself. And I realized this over the weekend because I was chatting with my brother and like a couple of people had pissed us off over the course of a few weeks, a few months, a few years, and we were just chatting about this sort of thing. As we're discussing our progress for the month, and as we're closing up a new month, we're like maybe discussing the negative side of our life and how has this made us feel and how can we reflect on this. And we kind of thought to ourselves, like, if we're getting that sort of negative energy around us still, and we're having people around us that have pissed us off, or perhaps we're still allowing people who have pissed us off to affect us, we're starting to think that how does that affect how we project ourselves to the world? And we're not saying, someone does you dirty, you just gotta, forgive them, forget them, and pretend like nothing's ever happened, like fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 3 times theory, so we don't believe that. But I think when you start understanding that people are going to wind you up, people are going to piss you off, people are going to hurt your feelings, it's a bad world out there, there's some bad people. However, I think understanding that you're in control of your emotion and how long you're going to let this particular thing affect you for, I think that's very important. So I think the ability to understand how to forget and how to feel, like, just leave it and, leave it in the past and leave people, like, forget what people have done for you. I think that's a very strong ability, and I think you don't truly understand how to do that. And I think the minute you do, it's like that sort of step up. It's like that level up in life. Because I remember, so yesterday actually, I had a bit of a run-in with someone. I'm not going to go divulge in the whole story, but so basically someone threatened to run me over. Really weird situation. I don't know why. And I thought to myself, I was like, this person had threatened to run me over. And he was driving, and his wife was in the car, or his partner was in the car. And I was just standing there in my driveway. And I thought, wow, okay. This guy drove off at, like, stupid speed. And I thought, A, he's let himself get emotionally compromised over this for no apparent reason. And B, he's actually put other people in danger by driving off like a lunatic because he's so pissed off and emotional. And then as he's driving off, me and my dad were chatting. He was like, yeah, what's going on? Like, you okay? Like, what happened there? And I was like, nah, it's fine. I was like, it is what it is. And then we were just chatting away, and I'm working on his car because my dad's battery died in his car because he's a muppet and left the trickle charger off on his Bentley. So we were just chatting about that, and then all of a sudden, I'd completely forgotten about it. It wasn't one of those situations that had fazed me. I was like, okay, cool. Strange guy, what a weird situation that was. I moved on from it, and the ability to move on from it, I had made peace with it, and I was like, cool, I don't care anymore. Let's just get on with our day. I took a big deep breath because I thought this guy had actually threatened to run me over. So, the heart starts pumping a bit. You're thinking, right, okay, is something going to kick off here? Like, is this guy going to get out of the car? Is there going to be a fight? Is he actually going to try and run me over? Is there going to be is there going to be an escalation? Is there going to be a whole different situation going on here? And because I used to be a doorman, I used to be a bouncer, I'm good at reading situations. There was probably a 60% chance that this guy was actually going to either get out of his car or try and run me over. Like, this guy didn't seem mentally okay. So anyway, I managed to, take a couple of deep breaths, completely forget about it, and move on. 2 to 5 minutes later, I don't know, a few minutes later, he actually comes back, stops outside our house, starts, like, sticking the middle finger up and telling me this, that, and the other, speeds off, and I swear, like, 2 minutes down the road, he must have got, like, quarter of a mile down the road, and you could still hear him shouting at the top of his lungs. And I thought to myself, wow, this guy, man, is so negative and so emotional and emotionally compromised. This could potentially have ruined his day, and it could have potentially ruined his week, and potentially this could have been the straw that broke the camel's back. Who knows? Like, we don't know what his situation was, personally, like home life, etc. He could have argued with his wife or with his missus, with his partner. He could have argued with his children. You know, he could have been an ex-alcoholic, or he could have been in a situation where that thing happening could have ruined his life. Like, that could have been the last straw where his wife says, you know what, I don't like the way you conduct yourself, I'm leaving you. It could have been, the first holiday with his girlfriend, and his girlfriend's like, wow, this guy's just lost his temper like this. Who knows, that over such a small minor thing, like, who knows what that could do to our relationship in the future, So how you conduct yourself, especially when it comes to first impressions, long-lasting impressions, when someone's known you for a long time, if that's out of character for you, that ruins the relationship forever. Because people will then look at you and be like, he's a nice guy, but wow, he's got a temper. So how you conduct yourself and how you decide to act in stressful situations says a lot about you as a man. It says a lot about you, and even as a lady, as a lady, it says a lot about you as a person. So this is predominantly male audience that I've got. However, I have got some absolutely awesome ladies who do follow me and do interact with my stuff. So big shout out to all you fantastic girls out there. However, for the men out there, it's predominantly men I see acting in this way. Is women as well. I will fully admit, women really need to check themselves as well, especially, and we'll go on to this in a different sort of live stream when it comes to relationships and stuff like that. However, when you're trying to build yourself, not necessarily a reputation, but when you're trying to build yourself into a person who deserves respect, remembering how you conduct yourself is so important. Because, like I said, you can be someone who is such a respectable guy, dresses well, smells fantastic, conducts himself well, is a true gentleman to the fairer sex, and a true gentleman to those around you as well. You treat other men with respect, and you're a true person who puts across positivity. Until one day you just absolutely flip your lid, go nuts, start cursing, swearing, potentially getting violent or aggressive. All of a sudden, 10 years of hard work, building relationships around people you want to be with, all of a sudden shatters. And all of a sudden, that positive atmosphere, that positive vibe that you're trying to put out, that person you've built, that respect you've grown and manifested is all ruined just because you cannot control your emotion and you cannot learn to forget. And I noticed this when I was chatting to my current partner now, and we were walking down the road and we were chatting potentially about, I don't know, let's say, let's call someone Bob. This is it's a semi-made up situation because I don't want to give what exactly we were talking about. However, so this is based on true events. So those movies that aren't always factually correct, but they are based on true events. So yeah, this is one of those situations. I want to be as open and as transparent with you guys as possible. So I was walking down the street with my partner, I was driving down with my partner, and we were chatting about a certain situation, and perhaps I was saying, yeah, this has happened to me before, but I don't care, I left it be. I couldn't be asked to get involved with it. I couldn't be asked to let it bother me and actually let it affect my future. I couldn't be asked, and what I mean by that, I couldn't be asked to let it affect me emotionally. I'm a trader. I'm also involved in other businesses. A lot of my time is taken through some of the stuff that I'm involved in. That's the last thing I need on planet Earth, is a grudge with someone who potentially, and I'm not going to say is less than me, because I don't believe anyone's, you got to be humble, you know, no one's less than you, but potentially someone who has, you know, nowhere near as good as intentions as me, you know, someone who potentially doesn't care as much as me, someone who potentially doesn't care about others as much as I do, you know, and someone who's quite happy to project negativity into the space. Now, when it comes to that sort of thing, it's not good to hang out with those sorts of people, and it's certainly not good to have those sorts of people actually affect you in the long term. So, and I said this to my partner, I was like, I'm not going to let this person affect me, you know, not now, not in the future. I don't like them, but instead of hating on them, and instead of almost going out of my way to remind myself I hate them, and I've watched people do this, people will stalk others on social media and just slam them, and I mean literally search their name, watch what they're up to, and say, this, that, and the other, I hate this person. And I think to myself, how awful is that for your psychology? How awful is that for your aura, your energy around you, should we say? Because you're actually reminding yourself and opening your mindset to more negativity, and it's just such an awful way to be living your life. You know, I said to my partner, I was like, I got a stressful enough life as it is. The last thing I need is that. And she said to me, she's like, you know, I love that. She said, it's one of my favorite things about you. And she said, not that you can forgive and forget, but the fact that you understand what you will allow to emotionally affect you. Pause for effect. So, you know, that's what she loved most about me. And I thought to myself, you know what? That's really interesting, because she wouldn't tell me if that's not what she loves. She wouldn't tell me if I wasn't that person. She wouldn't be like, I hate this about you. However, she does hate people that do that. She's like, I hate people that hold on to a grudge. You know, I hate people that can just make it their entire personality trait to hate on someone. And I thought, wow, if I was that person, she wouldn't tell me. Instead, she would judge me for it. And she wouldn't like that sort of person. She wouldn't like me to be that sort of person. So you imagine if I was consistently that sort of person, she's going to judge me and have a negative sort of opinion on me, or potentially, like, her standards of me are slowly going to dwindle down and lower before she ends up saying, you know what, you're not the sort of person I'm looking for. This relationship isn't going to work out. So when I say, guys, try and be the best version of yourself and understand, is it going to affect you tomorrow? Is what this person's done going to affect you in an hour? If not, then who cares? Give an issue the respect it deserves. And what I mean by that is, if it's going to affect you next week, if it's going to affect you for the rest of your life, then yes, we can deal. You can deal with that situation differently. However, if it's not going to affect you tomorrow, if it's not going to affect you next week, or even in an hour's time, dude, just kick and scream about it for a little bit. Yeah, of course, you know, give us 5-10 minutes of just absolute paddy power, you know, where you're just jumping up and down and having a bit of a paddy. If that's the case, absolutely fine. Yeah, go for it. But once you've had your little bit of a hissy fit, forget about it. Take some deep breaths, move on. And this is where reminding yourself what you're capable of is so important, because you've got to remind yourself why you're going to move on from it. Because if you end up allowing yourself to be emotionally compromised all the time over it, you end up becoming that person. You become the person who cares more about someone calling you a name. Let's say, for example, you're a heavier guy, someone calls you fat, and you end up letting that affect you for the entire day that someone has called you fat. You know, it's like, okay, cool. You've allowed this person to get inside your psychology, to get inside your aura, to get inside your emotional castle, your kingdom, should we call it? You know, you're upstairs. You know, your brain is the only thing that you have truly got and that you can truly control. You know, so therefore, when you allow someone to come into your brain and just set a grenade off, what could you do? Well, what would that look like if something a little bit more severe was to happen? You know, you imagine what other people are going to look at and think, wow, that person has just called him a name and it's ruined his entire day. You know, that this small, minor, mediocre thing has just ruined that person's day. You imagine if you're on a date with someone, or you imagine if you're in the early stages of a relationship with someone. And I know this from experience. You know, I've dated a few girls over, since I was younger. And luckily now, you know, I'm in a settled, matured relationship. However, you know, most things that I've stayed consistent when I've explored different relationships with different women, and I'm talking all sorts of relationships, from super psychotic women to some of the more boring type of women. So I've really explored. You know, I haven't dated consistently. You know, you got to find what you like. All of them want that security of like emotional security, that emotional maturity. All of them want to look at you and think, how would he react if I was being emotionally unstable? How would he react if, as a family, we went through some form of stress, financial stress, emotional stress, you know, hard, like, difficulties? You know, how is he gonna act if he's put under pressure with kids, when he's put under pressure with, you know, bills, family, external pressures, work, you know, whatever it may be? How is he going to act when everyone around him is stressing? Is he going to take charge? Is he going to take control? Is he going to be that leading man that we need as a family unit? When she sees you kick off, and when she sees you get emotional and the word of the day, out of control, then that respect is instantly lost. Now, it's not lost as quick later on in the relationship, of course. However, it's still lost. I've lost respect for people I've known for 10 plus years. And again, I know I'm only 25, or 24. So people I've known since secondary school, and they've been super cool people, really polite, really nice guys. As they've matured and grown older, they've only grown into better people. Next minute, all of a sudden, we've been out and about, maybe at a meal, maybe at a pub, maybe we've been at an event, you know, maybe we've been in a situation where who you are and how you present yourself could potentially be a business opportunity. And all of a sudden, they have just revoltingly ruined their chances of whatever, like holding presence of whatever personality they truly were before. And you know what? The minute I saw that, it smashed that opinion that I had of them. I thought, wow, these people were, you know, super polite. They held themselves well. They dressed well, smelled well. They had great jobs. All of a sudden, they treated the waiter like garbage, or they were disrespectful, or, you know, they slammed the door in an old lady's face instead of holding the door open for her, you know. And it's little things like that. And I thought, wow, you know what? Thought better of you. You know, I didn't quite think that you were that type of guy, you know, not to treat a waiter like they're less than you. You know, I tip waiters, you know, I treat waiters well. You know, I think that treating someone who's working hard for their money, they don't want to be criticized by you. They don't want to be treated with disrespect by you just because you think that you are better than them, or you own them for the period that you're eating. You don't. So yeah, like the topic of conversation today is holding on to grudges, and you know, holding on, how that would look in your relationship. Not necessarily a sexual relationship, but a relationship that you have with others around you. And the best thing I found for letting something go is truly and genuinely being able to take a few deep breaths. 3 deep breaths, and I say this every single live stream, every single morning, and you're probably bored of it. But honestly, 3 deep breaths, 1, 2, 3 as you exhale, and then really fill out those lungs. Breathe through the nose, like really fill out those lungs. Hold it for a couple, like 2-3 seconds, and then breathe out. Really slowly breathe out and exhale everything. Do that 3 times, and all of a sudden, it just releases these endorphins in you, and it helps you level yourself off completely. However, that is something that you can do to immediately lower that stress level. However, reminding yourself who you potentially are becoming. There's no one I do not know that wouldn't want to become rich. If I went with lottery winning ticket and said, do you want this? This is the winning ticket. You're going to become super rich. No one would say no. No one would say, nah, I'm pretty okay in my average job. I'm pretty okay being broke. Or I'm pretty okay in my well-paying job. Everyone wants to become like financially stable, secure, wealthy, rich, whatever that may be. You know, everyone wants more money because more money unlocks possibilities, whether that's being able to pay off mortgages, pay off debt, look after your family, it doesn't matter. But everyone wants to be able, everyone wants more money. So therefore, everyone wants to work hard. Everyone wants a good job. I have had job opportunities. And what I mean by job opportunities, I don't have a job anymore. So for me, a job opportunity is a business opportunity, whether it's as a freelance, whether it's as an entrepreneur, whether it's as a business opportunity to invest in or business opportunity to start up, doesn't matter. A business opportunity, a job for me now is a way to earn money. Now, even if that's a day's work where I have to, I don't know, for example, let's say I'm a graphics designer, I have to design a logo for someone, you know, you could be in a pub and you could be chatting away. And this is why I try and say, surround yourself with people that you want to talk about. It's people that are going to level you up, because the conversation is going to be, everyone's nosy. You're in a pub and you're talking about business, you're talking about graphics design, you're talking about video editing, you're talking about trading. People are nosy. People are going to overhear that and think, oh, it's a graphics. I'm looking for a logo. You know, that's how that works. That's why I say always try and go to not necessarily better establishments, but establishments where you can talk and feel like a professional. You know, I went to a 5-star restaurant yesterday afternoon just to have a coffee. I had a coffee and a cigar. I took my parents there and I bought them a coffee. And I know that sounds cheap. Cost me 14 quid. Not a lot of money. But what we were able to do, we went to a 5-star restaurant. The aura was absolutely beautiful there. The atmosphere was incredible. Awesome music. Overlooking the sea. It was fantastic. The manager came out, you know, treated us like absolute royalty. You know, it was absolutely amazing. Top-notch service. But more importantly, what we were able to do, because we were talking about a certain product or a certain thing that we were doing in business with my family, the manager actually took interest. The manager overheard as he was walking past. He's like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt or anything, but I heard you talking about this. That's so interesting. You know, and then boom, potentially there's a business opportunity there where something's opened up and something, that channel of communication has been opened up. You know, we were dressed well, we spoke well, we weren't cursing. Guys, my language is awful, I fully admit. I swear like a sailor. I curse like a sailor. It's awful, my language is awful. It's something I'm trying to work on to improve. However, when I'm out and about, I try to make sure I'm conducting myself in a way that I don't swear as often, or I don't swear at all. I dress nicely. You know, I'll actually stand up for you guys now. I'm in black jeans, loafers, yes, with socks, I know, it's cold, it's early morning, and a black polo shirt. Yes, I'm in an all black fit today. However, you know, I am just sitting in my office today. I'm not doing anything special, hence why I'm just in black jeans, you know, they're super comfy. However, if I was going to an event, I'd put on some suit trousers. However, if I was to go out and meet someone, or if I was to go out and go about my daily business, go out for a coffee, next minute I met someone who had an opportunity for me, or a business, or potentially could open up a channel of communication, I'd be dressed in a way that would project myself as someone to be taken seriously. I have thrown out all my jogging trousers. All I have now are jeans, like nice jeans as well, linen trousers and suit trousers. They're the only things I have now. I don't wear joggers, nothing like that. I wear shorts if I'm going to the gym. Even if it's super hot, I'll wear linen. You know, I think I look, as a man, I look ridiculous in shorts. Not saying other people do. My dad and my brother seem to pull it off. but they got legs like tree trunks. So, you know, they got super muscly calves. So maybe it looks okay. Maybe my poor skinny little calves don't look good in shorts. But, you know, it's about understanding what dress looks good on you. You know, what outfit looks good on you. My brother looks fantastic in cargo shorts and a baseball cap. He drives a Mustang. He's got that proper American look, you know, whereas me, I've got more of that, let's call it that Aston Martin look, you know. I've got more of that old money style look. I couldn't get away with wearing cargo trousers and a baseball cap. I'd look like a chav. You know, I wouldn't look good at all. So it's about understanding how you can dress yourself and how you can put an outfit together in a way that's going to make you look approachable and professional at all times. And that's what I'm doing as well. So yeah, reminding yourself of who you're, going back to the point we took a bit of a side quest then, reminding yourself who you are and what you're capable of and what you're aiming for is so important. So like I said, you know, I am someone who is trying to become a better me. I'm someone who's trying to become a man worthy and deserving of a wife who I can provide for, kids who I can provide for, you know, a man worthy of deserving that luxury lifestyle. You know, I don't believe in actually going out and trying to become someone who let's say I want a Lamborghini, I want that luxury lifestyle, and then I'm going out and I'm just acting like a degenerate. You know, I don't deserve that lifestyle then. So therefore, I'm going to try and project and put across someone as someone who deserves that, because, you know, as they say, you know, what you put out is what you attract, and I want to put out into the world someone who deserves to be taken seriously, and therefore my partner takes me seriously. Everything I say, my partner respects, not because I'm controlling, not because I earn money, but because everything I do because I've thought through it. I've thought it out. And she knows that everything I have thought through, everything I've done and suggested and told her or suggested to her, she's like, this man has thought of every possibility here and is doing the best, doing what he's doing with the best interests at heart. And I put that across in everything I do. And this isn't just when it comes to my partner. This is when it comes to business as well. So if I'm saying I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. You know, I was shattered this morning. I was shattered last night. Didn't sleep very well. But I said I was going to show up at 7 a.m. on the dot, go live with you guys, and start my week off and start my month off correctly. What sort of person would I be if I didn't do this? What sort of respect would you guys give me if I said to you I was going to go live tomorrow morning at 7 and I didn't show up? Or I went live at 7:30? What would you guys think of me? And you don't know me. So you imagine if I said this to my partner or to my parents or to my brother, I am going to do this for you, and then I let them down. You imagine what respect that's going to give me, or what respect they are going to have for me if I don't follow through with these things. You know, so you start understanding who do you want to be as a man, and who do you want to be as a person. And if you want to be someone who owns a room and someone who deserves that respect, someone who deserves to be listened to, then you start understanding that, right, you know what? If I want to be this person who's deserving of that, I cannot be holding on to mundane, crappy, mediocre things. I can't be holding on to grudges from people who don't even mean anything to me. You know, because once you start holding on to grudges from people who don't mean anything to you, you imagine what you're going to be doing to people who mean it to you. You know, you're not going to be giving them as much time and respect. I can hear it, and it's actually annoying me. There you go. Yeah, you're not going to be giving them as much respect, dedication, time, and effort because you're too hung up on other things, especially if you got, you know, other stuff that you're trying to do. You know, I know a few of you guys in chat now are traders, and a few of you do have partners. Some of you even have kids, so a big shout out to all the dads out there as well. You know, so some of you do have kids, some of you are, you know, self-employed, some of you are still trying to become profitable in trading with a wife or with, you know, youngsters, with a life that you're starting, with bills, with savings, stuff like goals, maybe trying to buy a house, Maybe you're trying to buy a new car. So when you've got all these responsibilities, and the reason I bring kids up a lot is because a lot of guys, have kids and struggle because life gets a little bit more serious when you get kids, or potentially have a mortgage. Life becomes a lot more serious when you get a mortgage, and people have to get stable careers. So trying to find time to trade and take trading seriously is really difficult in the beginning. Once you're a profitable trader, life opens up to you again, but that early stage is really difficult. So therefore, you've got to remember, you have to bring in let in the energy that you need around you. For example, if let's say you've got young kids and you've got a mortgage and you've got a wife and, maybe she's a stay-at-home mum. I don't know. Let's try and put as much pressure on you as possible. You got young kids, they're going to kindergarten or not primary school, like little people school. You can tell I don't have kids. So they're going to like nursery. Bosh, there you go. Remember that they're going to nursery. You've got to pay for that. Your partner, she's a stay-at-home mum. You guys are new parents. You got a mortgage. You got a career, and you're trying to become a profitable trader. So you've got so much mental energy being taken up by your new young family, which is perfect. It's good, and that's good negative energy, because even though it could be negative, even though it's taking a lot of your stress, it's taking a lot of your time and effort away, it's positive energy because it's building your family, which is fantastic. But it's still taking up a massive chunk of your time and energy. However, so that's a massive portion being taken up. You've then got a mortgage, you've got bills, and you're the only breadwinner. So you've got bills, you've got mortgage to pay, you've got car payments to make, you've got kindergarten or nursery to pay for. That's taking up a massive chunk of your psychology. That's taking up a massive chunk of your efforts. Now, you've got those two really big stresses. Then you've got your own emotions, you've got your own psychology. How do you feel today? And you've got to internally reflect. And this is why I say journaling is so important. Because to self-reflect on the day, especially, depending on how stressed you are, I try and self-reflect every other day, maybe like twice on a business week and then at the end of the week. So 3 times to 4 times a week, I'll try and self-reflect. However, a lot, the busier, the more stressed you are, especially like in this situation, you've got kids, kindergarten, bills, stay-at-home wife, mortgage, car payments, etc. Self-reflect every bloody day, man. Self-reflect every single day. Keep yourself in check and understand how you feel emotionally. Your partner is there as your emotional rock. Treat her like that. Talk to her, confide in her, and you need someone to be your emotional stability sometimes as well. However, you've got to understand, okay, I've got all these 3 factors coming in now. Oh, and I want to become a profitable trader. And I got a boss, and I got a job whose boss is coming to me now and asking for a quarterly report. So now I got to give a quarterly report. And I'm emotionally stressed and tired because I got a new family. And I got to support my family, pay for my mortgage, pay for my bills, pay for my car, pay for the kindergarten. You've got all these things stressing you out, and you've now got to become a profitable trader. Next minute, someone comes up and calls you fat. Someone comes up and starts emotionally draining you. Someone comes up and, like me yesterday, threatens to run you over. Someone comes into your atmosphere and tries to ruin it. Someone comes up to you and tries to ruin your mood, your atmosphere. Someone tries to, pick away at you and become negative around you. You have 2 options, and this is what I was talking about at the beginning of the stream. This is why I say holding on to a grudge tells a lot about your character. Not only that, it also helps grow you as a person, because you are able to look at them and think, I have 2 options here. I can allow this to be the straw that breaks the camel's back, and it completely ruins my day, ruins my mood. I end up flipping out, and it can be an absolute domino effect, and before you know it, it's ruined everything. And I've watched it happen. I've watched it unfold, and people have split up and ruined relationships and, stopped trading, ruined careers, left jobs, all over something so mundane, which has been the last straw that has just broken the camel's back. And do not let this happen. Do not let something so mundane be that thing. And what you can do then, what you do is you look at this person and you think, you know what? I don't want you in my life anymore. I don't want you around me, and you're not good for me, or I'm not going to listen to you, or you're watching someone criticize you perhaps on social media. I get a lot of positivity. A lot of you guys absolutely love what I post on social media, which is amazing. But a lot of, some of you guys, or some, probably not you guys who watch me, but a lot of people on social media do give a lot of hate. And I look at them and I think, even if they're the most successful people in the world, they are less successful than me. Why? Because they have to go out there and give someone negative comments. They have to go out and spread hate into the world. You could be a multi-millionaire. You can be significantly financially more successful than I am. However, you are less successful than me. Why? Because you are going out and spreading negativity, and you are trying to ruin someone's day or hurt someone's feelings, or you are trying to go out and be a negative person in the world just because you can, just because you want to, maybe because you've had a bad day. That's what I'm talking about. Holding on to those sorts of people is negative for your environment. Leave them go. And sometimes they're closer to you than you'd want them to be. And it can negatively affect you, of course. But guys, it is so important that you let go of grudges, and it's so important that you remind yourself before you let yourself get emotionally compromised by this person, or by this by this thing, by this opportunity, or by this situation, should we call it. It's so important that you remind yourself who you want to be. It's so important that you say to yourself, no, you know what? I do not want to be the person who gets emotionally compromised by this. I want to be, and remind yourself what you're fighting for. I want to be a profitable trader. I want to be a strong, reliable father and husband and partner. I want to be the best boyfriend ever. I want to be the best son ever. I want to be the best brother, sister, uncle, nephew, cousin, whatever. I want to be the best businessman ever. And the best businessman isn't going to be allowing negative atmospheres and negative energy to come into their atmosphere, come into their zone of energy. They're not going to allow that, because their time and stress and energy is taken up and divided by all these things that are going to affect them, that they cannot allow something so mundane and mediocre to affect them. So guys, like I was talking about earlier, this topic is about letting things go. So the best things I can recommend is you take 3 big deep breaths and you remind yourself who on earth you want to be. And you remind yourself you are going to become the best version of yourself. It's May. It's the 4th of May. So happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. Guys, it is indeed the start of a new month. It's the start of a new week. It's a it's a Monday. It's a fantastic opportunity to understand who do you truly want to be. We are 4 months. Is it January, February, March, April? No, 5. Guys, we're nearly halfway through the year already. Who have you been the first half of 2026? And who do you want to be for the rest of 2026? Who do you want to be in 2027, and how are you going to get there? I'll tell you one thing. It's not by letting stupidity and idiot people hurt your feelings, get into your aura, get into your space, negative mindsets, negative implications. Keep yourself surrounded with positive people. Keep yourself positive and become someone who spreads positivity, not negativity. So ask yourself, take 3 deep breaths, ask yourself who do you want to become, and remind yourself how do you become that person. It all starts with who you think you are. Then it moves on to who you want to become, and who you act as, and who you are as a person, and then it'll be, and then it'll become who you actually become. Bailey distracted me then. What's good, guys? Good morning to all of you in chat. By the way, I got a bit carried away. I haven't spoken to many of you guys in chat. I will come through and say good morning to you all now. But yeah, just to reiterate, you get 3 stages. well, technically, I suppose 4 stages. This is stages. There we go. We haven't worked out. We'll work out in just a second how many stages it'll take to get there. But, you know, you must first understand, who do you want to become in the future? Who, you know, what does that person look like? You need to think it. It all starts in the brain. You know, all great ideas start in the brain. You know, all fantastic movements start in the brain. Absolutely everything you become and you are and you will be all starts with who you thought you could be. So first things first, who do you want to become? You know, think about that person. Think about who you are, who you want to become, what that person is and acts like and how they act and who they project themselves. Then you start becoming that person. Once you start becoming that person, you're projecting that energy out into the world and you start attracting that equal energy. You know, they say opposites attract. I completely disagree with that. It's the idea, you know, that's the yin and yang effect. It's the idea that who you project yourself as becoming is who you actually attract. And your birds of a feather flock together, as they say. You know, you can't be, you know, if you hang out with 5 fat people, there's a good chance you're going to become the 6th. Hang out with 5 millionaires, there's a good chance or an increased chance you're going to become the 6th. So just remember, you know, who you think you want to be becomes who you act like, and then who you act like becomes who you actually become. Who you actually become actually ends up forecasting and broadcasting into becoming the person who you want to be in the future. So that's my little words of wisdom to you guys. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm trying to achieve. Azrael, great brother. Thank you very much, Azrael. Really appreciate your words, my man. You show up every week here, bro, and I really appreciate you. Now, I notice you guys that come out every week, and you're all absolute legends for us, so thank you very much. Sigma FX, I'm working so hard not to dwell on the past events, not in our control, so take back control by learning and adapting and moving forward. Dude, absolutely, my man. Sigma, smart man. I totally agree with you. It's so hard to dwell, not to dwell on the past. You know, we all want to do it. We all want to dwell on the past and actually, you know, let it affect us. And, you know, we all want to become someone who doesn't allow it to affect us, but it's difficult because it's emotions and how we deal with things emotionally. It feels almost out of our control, but it is in our control, and it's time to take control of our emotions and become a better, more controlled, sustainable version of ourselves. 50 Cal, good morning all. What is good, my man? Good morning, Cal. I live in joggers, but then again, my kids get food all over my clothes. My man, you know, like you said, you know, you're a father, bro. It doesn't matter what you're wearing at home. Dude, I wear joggers at home. You know, I have one tracksuit. I've thrown out all my joggers. I wear one Armani tracksuit because it is the most comfortable thing I've ever worn. It's getting a bit tatty now. It's like 4 years old. The minute it actually rips and, you know, gets all tatty, I'll bin it, you know, because I don't wear stuff like that anymore. But yeah, yeah. No, dude, you know, you got to remember, like, I'll never wear joggers out and about. However, Apex Brotherhood hoodie, I will be getting Apex Brotherhood tracksuit trousers event, or like full tracksuit eventually. It'll be this sort of material. And I will be wearing that if I'm like going flying or traveling or driving on a long journey or something. But you won't see me in tracksuit trousers when I'm out and about, because I don't feel like it doesn't preach and doesn't broadcast who I am. Maybe if I get an Apex Brotherhood one, maybe I will, because then it's the Apex Brotherhood, it's who I am, and it's who we all are. So perhaps then, I don't know, we'll see. 50 Cal, preach it, brother. Absolutely. Amen, my man. Amen. MGN, what is good, my man? Greetings. Hello there. May the 4th be with you, bro. How you doing? Gluten Morgan. Sorry, Bailey. You made me giggle and it distracted me, so I'm going to have to bring it up. Gluten Morgan, my friend. The Germans while they eat bread. Gluten. Oh, damn. That did make me giggle. I'm a big believer of, if you cannot control it, don't let it bother you. Great concept from the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Absolutely, my brother has just finished reading that book, and he does absolute drop some bombs of wisdom on me every now and then. Yeah, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, what an awesome book. I believe... No, I haven't. I thought it was up on my bookshelf. In fact, I'll actually lift my... Got a bookshelf up there with some fantastic books. But no, the Subtle Art is not up there. But yeah, my brother's just finished reading that book. I'm reading The Psychology of Money. Once I've finished reading The Psychology of Money, I will be reading The Subtle Art as well. Yeah, absolutely. If you can't control it, don't let it bother you. Simplest way. And that, I think that's, a lot of traders have learned this as well. And that's why I say a lot of traders become better versions of themselves, and because they understand what it takes to become a trader, and a profitable trader as well. So yeah, absolutely. If you cannot control it, don't let it bother you. If you can control it and you let it bother you, ask yourself why, you know, and how can you improve in the future. So yeah, Bailey, I absolutely love that, man. 50 Cal, you do crack me up, bro. Little people's school. It is, man. It's school for little people, and then you get medium people, and then you get big people, and then you get smart people. You know, so little people is like nursery. You know, medium people is like primary school. Big people is like the comprehensive, you know, secondary school, and then you get smart people. You know, university, college, university. You know, it's their further education. The people who want to further develop their careers in education. Anyway, guys, it is time for me to love you and leave you. Get yourself over to the live stream with Evan. He will be trading his automated strategy, and he will be talking through his bots that he's developing. He is developing some absolutely awesome profitable systems at the moment. So make sure you stay on the Apex Brotherhood channel. Make sure you smash that like button as well, guys. It does mean a lot. And for those of you who have watched this in the past, like maybe not live, so maybe you're watching it a little bit later on once the live stream has ended. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you drop us a nice comment down below. Make sure you do smash that like button. And if you are new here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Guys, we've got 159 subscribers. Can we get to 160 by the end of the day? That would be absolutely awesome. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you share it with all those around you that need to listen to some positivity. And guys, like I said, make sure you follow me on Instagram, Will Davis Official. But more importantly, link to the description below if you do want to join the Apex Brotherhood family and yeah, become a better version of yourself consistently. But guys, anyway, for now, thank you very much. I shall see you all end of the week in the Discord on Sunday, where I'll be breaking down my personal journey, and I'll be doing my self-reflection in front of you guys live. Or if not, I'll see you guys next week at 7 AM. But for now, thank you very much, guys. Take care and have a great week. Peace.